You guys have a big match coming up this weekend. It's a rivalry match, but it's also an opportunity for you guys to once again show the home fans that you guys are prepared to take on the rest of the season. What's the assessment to the practice? It seemed as though it was rather difficult, and it was a strong practice, but there also seemed to be some miscues.
Some miscues?
Yeah, there's a lot of passing that was not being connected, and is that just a byproduct of the fact that it was just a hard practice today?
Yeah, I think so. I thought there were good moments in training today. Today's our day where we try to evaluate the opponent. We have one team come out here and line up how we think Vancouver's going to approach us, and then the team that we think is going to play on the weekend tries to break it down. So there's some new things that we're trying that we're you know. Um, trying to accomplish based off of like the tactics that Vancouver's going to come out here with. So maybe if you saw miscues, then it might be the new things we're trying. But I think the tactics were good, and they looked good in moments when we can complete them, and we're technically good. I think we're getting confident with the game plans.
JP talked about having patience right now, understanding there's a lot of games and the outside forces may be anxious about you guys getting wins or getting goals. Can you talk a little bit about how that patience is, like how that's communicated with you guys or, like internally?
Yeah, I think it's we try to live one game at a time. I know it's cliche, but that's how we have to approach it, and we have to just understand that we can't control anything that's in our past now. The results that have changed, we can learn from them and try to take what we learned into Vancouver this weekend. So we're focused on Vancouver. We're focused on getting 3 points, and we think we can do it. So we're excited about it.
So taking one game at a time, then do you look at a point on the road in Dallas as a good point or 2 points lost?
I think on the field, the way the game shaped, and the way kind of things, the way things happened in Dallas, that we think we could have and should have won that game. I think we everyone in the locker room, everyone feels that's a game we could win. You can kind of look at it and say a point on the road to Dallas is a good point based off of how they've been last season and playoffs and stuff last year. But after playing the game, we look back and we say, yeah, we could have and should have won that game. So.
When you talked about facing what you think Vancouver might look like out here in training, what do you think Vancouver will look like, and how do you read them so far this year in terms of the game coming up?
Vancouver doesn't change too much. They haven't the last couple of years. They try to find balls into the strikers. They added I think Krylak, big target up front with Brian White. So they make a lot of runs. They cross a lot of balls. It's a similar team to what we're used to playing from them. So we know what we're getting into, and we know it's going to be a battle. But we also know that we're playing a Cascadia Cup game at home. So we're excited for it.
From a personal standpoint, Josh, how have you, through what's been going on this season, how have you seen your game improve as from last year, and also being able to weather some of the challenges that you guys have been presented with this year?
Yeah, I've I feel like I'm settling into my role a little bit. It's been I don't know, in the grand scheme of things over the last couple of years, it's been hilly a little bit, but I'm really happy and fortunate and grateful to get a good run out of games in the start of the season, and I feel like that getting minutes under my belt consecutively like that, I'm stringing together, and I feel like coming to mid-season form pretty soon. So
I was asking Joe Paulo about beyond the soccer aspect, maybe the team lacked a little bit of fire in moments in that Dallas game. There's that big challenge against JP that it's a bad challenge, and there wasn't really anybody there to just kind of have a presence and just kind of say you don't do that type of thing.
Yeah.
How important is that fire? I mean, not to lose composure, but to just kind of have that sort of fire, the character.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I think that's a huge part of the game, and that's something that we could add to help us dig out points in those kinds of games. You know, getting into tackles, being a little feisty, I don't want to say dirty, but, you know, like getting into guys and showing that we're here to compete and we want points. Yeah, I think that's a good point that you bring up.
And from your perspective, how did the team handle that kind of high and low, right? It's a 5-0 game against Montreal, and then in this one, nothing really goes your way in the second half. You get opportunities, those don't go in. How was that high and low in the locker room and for yourself?
Yeah, I think the guys were a little frustrated after that Dallas game. You know, we just feeling like we should have won that game and knowing that the opportunity was there. But at this point, we can only learn from it. I mean, you make a good point about having that fire. And I think that's a learning moment for us, you know, and I think we can carry those things into the games we have coming up.
Aside from that, was there another point that, like a moment, I guess, where that in that Dallas game where this should have happened and we would have got that win?
No, I think we can look back at a lot of moments like that. You kind of there's never one reason you don't win a game and one reason you lose a game. There's always an accumulation and you know, mistakes or like things that don't go your way all over the field. So it's hard to point out one moment. But
You mentioned Brian White and Demir Krylock, but Ryan Gauld, in your time facing him and then also just watching him, what kind of challenges does he give you right there in the defensive midfield?
He's a good player. Yeah, you know, whenever I'm watching a Vancouver game, I'm always impressed with his game. But you know, I think I've played against him a lot. We've all played against him a lot. We kind of know his tendencies where he likes to pick up the ball in different pockets. He'll come get the ball, kind of behind the lines and stuff. So I think we're prepared for him, and you know, you don't want to focus on too much on like one specific player going into a game, but I mean, he'll be in the midfield and he'll be a matchup we have to look for. So.